Okay. So I think I still didn't put on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Everything's good. Okay.
Yeah.
We're on Daf Hey Aleph on the top, and the subject is how do we know Kiddushay? The Mishnah says, "Aish liknais b'shlosh drachim." Shalosh drachim. Yes. How do we know Kesef Shtar and Bia? So Kesef and Bia we learned already, and the simple, without all the details, is as Kika Chish Isha Uvala. Kika Chish is Kicha Kicha Misli Efron. That means money. Uvala means also there's a way to marry a woman with Bia. And now we're left with the third one. How do you know Shtar? Today's Gemara is also going to be about the brushes. How do you know that there's such a thing as Kiddush Shtar? Kiddush Shtar means he gives her a contract that says, Kadesh Steve Shtar Zun, Kadesh Moshe B'Yisrael. No money, it doesn't even have to be worth a Shavapruta. And that affects the Kiddushin. So how do you know? The Bryce is continuing. So Bryce says a free that the Gemara is quoting with interjecting the whole time Kashas and Terutzim. How do you know that Shtar is a way to make Kiddushin? So before the Bryce says a pasuk, it offers a drasha without a pasuk. Here also it's going to be a pasuk also at the end. But first, the Bryce tries for a drasha for a kal v'chomer. B'dinhu umak kesef she'en motzi machnis shtar shemotzi and din shemachnis. Money we're going already as a given that you could the kedusha kesef is a way to marry that you could that we know already from kikach ish isha kikach kicha Mr. Efron that money is a way to marry, but it's not a way to divorce. And that thing was going to talk about soon that there's no way to divorce with money. You can't not if he gives her money and says that you should leave, or she gives him money, whatever it's going to be. Money is not the vehicle of divorce. So which is stronger, kesef or shtar? Let's see, shtar shamotzi. And the get is shtar is a way to divorce. So which is strong? So which is strong, right? So shtar is stronger than kesef. So whatever kesef could do, shtar can surely do. And kesef we know that it's a way to marry. So shtar should also be a way to marry. And within shemach, we're talking about kinyan. There's such thing as a kinyan. There's such a thing as the was saying that maybe a shtar is also a way. We also know that there's such a thing as stars being a Kenyan also. We know by fields there is such a thing as being Kona with star. There is such a thing as a star Kenyan. The Gemara doesn't bring it down right now, but you want to know if the star is a way of Kenyan. Yeah, star is a way of Kenyan in other places. And the Gemara wants to know that maybe the Gemara doesn't say what you said about learning from other Kenyanim, from what I said about learning from other Kenyanim. It's talking about in the marriage aspect. So you see that star is a stronger document, a stronger vehicle than money, because money cannot make the divorce and the shtar could. So if money makes the marriage, so surely shtar could. That's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara disproves this Kal V'chomer. You're saying that shtar is stronger than kesef. It's true in some ways shtar is stronger than kesef as far as the divorce, but there are places where kesef is stronger than shtar. Mal kesef shekein poden b'hakdesh u'ma'aser sheni. Talmud shtar shein poden b'hakdesh u'ma'aser sheni. T'chsev v'nasin kesef v'kam lo. Money is a way that you could redeem hektish, or you could redeem Ma'aser Sheni. If you don't want to take it to Yerushalayim, you could redeem it. You put the kedusha, you transfer the kedusha from the hektish or the Ma'aser Sheni onto the money. But there is no way to transfer the kedusha onto a shtar. Rashi points out even a check. You're going to take a check and write out money and say that the kedusha of the Ma'aser Sheni or the hektish should transfer onto a check. It doesn't work. It has to be dafka money. So which is stronger? Kesef. Kesef is stronger than a shtar. So it isn't true what you said. You thought that you had a raya that shtar is stronger than kesef. It's true sometimes, but sometimes kesef is stronger than shtar. So not necessarily anything that a kesef could do could shtar do. So back to the same question. I didn't explain the words. Let's see the words again. Kesef, you could redeem kekdesh and ma'aser sheni, and shtar you cannot. Are you going to say the shtar is can accomplish what kesef could do? You're not allowed to be put the kekdesh and ma'aser sheni on a shtar, like it says, v'nasin kesef v'kam lo. There's really no such pasuk. It's a combination of two psukim. That when you want to be Ma'aser Sheni, you give money, and then by Hektish it says that then the field belongs to the person who was redeemed it. It's not exact pasuk the way the Gemara quotes it, but anyway, you see that Kesef has something that Shtar doesn't have. So we're back to square one. The top words in the page, Menayin Shah Shtar. How do you know that the such thing is Kedusha Shtar? You're not able to learn it from a Kal V'chomer from Kesef. So here goes the answer. Amakra. Again, the same pasuk over there of yesterday's parsha, Parshas Kiseitze, that the woman marries and he divorces her, and then she goes to marry somebody else, and the dinner matzik b'shasa. So the pasuk compares her leaving from the first husband to getting married to the second husband. So there's a hekesh between gerushin and kiddushin. The pasuk can come out of one breath says that she leaves one and goes to the next one. So the pasuk compares divorce and marriage. So now we have a link between divorce and marriage. The pasuk is comparing marriage to divorce. Since just like you see that it's possible to get divorced with a star, so the pasuk is saying that there's a hekesh, not b'svara alone, just a hekesh. The pasuk is makashit. Some things we say on our own, but the Gemara started with a couple homer, that didn't work. But if the pasuk compares, the pasuk is saying they're comparable. So if you find that there's such a way to divorce with a star, so also the pasuk is saying it's also a way to marry with a star also. And that's the answer. That's the final answer. The Gemara is going to ask kashas now, but just to remember this, the answer. As Machabusa pointed out, that everything is learned, all three kinds of kiddushin is learned out from those couple of psukim. It says kikach isha, that's already kesef, uva Allah, that's kiddushay bia, and then it says that so he divorces her, the yotza, and that yotza v'hoisa is going to be the drasha we learn out kiddushay shtar. So in those couple of psukim, we learned all kinds of kiddushin, kiddushay kesef, kiddushay bia, and kiddushay shtar. On this last drasha of this comparison, the link between divorce and marriage, the more learned out just learned out that if since divorce is accomplished by a get, so too as a shtar contract, so too a document, so too the kiddushin is also accomplished with a document. But the Gemara says if that's true, so make a two-way street. If you're going to make this kind of a comparison, and the person compares divorce to marriage, so then you should say the same way we know that marriage is with money, as we just know kikach, and then maybe divorce also could be accomplished with money. The question is who gives the money to who? How would, let's say it's not true, but let's say theoretically there'd be a divorce with money. How would it work? Would it be that the woman gives money in order to release herself, or the husband gives her money and says take the money and you're released? So that's maybe a question. Taisha seems to say that the way it would work, theoretically, if it would work, it doesn't. But it might have worked that the husband has to give the money, and that's a way to release her also. But the Gemara is asking that we should invent the fact that there's gerushay kesef. There'd be a way of divorcing with money, not only a contract. That's the Gemara's kasha. Again, the Gemara was just said that you learn there's a comparison, the hekesh between marriage and divorce, and that's how the Gemara learned out. There's a way to marry with a contract. That's the truth. The Gemara is asking, but it should be a two-way street. The same way you learn out kiddushin from gerushin, learn out gerushin from kiddushin. Kiddushin we know can be with kesef, so maybe gerushin also can be with kesef, and that's not true. Well, why not? If you have the hekesh opened up, you should be able to learn it both ways. So there are going to be two twists to this question. The question, let's put the question on the forefront. The question is, maybe there's such a thing as gerushay kesef, a divorce by money. We say, how do you know? Who says? Maybe there is. The more one say the drasha, the more one say where in the Torah you see that according to this Torah, we should say that there is. Same way we learned out, we just invented kiddushay shtar with this drasha. So for the same money, I didn't mean to say that. For the same logic, we should learn out gerushay kesef. So there can be two twists to this kasha. Amar Abaye. Abaye says it can't be because the svara doesn't make sense. Yomu kesef machnes kesef mosi sanega yasek kategar. That it can't be that the how do you say the opposite of a prosecutor? A defendant? How do you say? Defendant? No, who's the opposite of a prosecutor? Attorney, or the defense. The defense. So the defender, that's sanegar, is another word for it. I don't know what it is. So could he become the prosecutor? Means the gerushin is considered a prosecutor. That's the one who's coming out, knock it down. So, and if you want to say that the money, what does the more want? That the money, the same way you're married, you should be able to divorce with money also. That's like the opposite roles. There's a defender, and then there's the prosecutor, attorney, the prosecutor. So it can't be that the same way that you marry should be the same way that's going to get divorced also. Tyson points out that the more is understanding that the money, the husband would give the money. Tyson says if the woman were giving the money, maybe it would be logical. But if the husband's giving the money, he gave money to get married. Now he's giving money to get divorced. It can't be. It doesn't make sense. It can't be that the same vehicle is going to be what got them together, and the same vehicle is going to get them separated. That can't be. Money brought her in, and money's going to take her out. Is the defender or whatever it's going to become the prosecutor? But the Gemara says if that's a kasha, then our drasha also doesn't make sense. He said you learn out from a get that there's such a thing as divorcing with the document, so also you could marry with the document. Say the same thing. A document is what takes her out. The document's going to bring her in also. If that's a kasha, it should be a kasha on the document also. The same contract which took her out is also going to bring her in. The prosecutor is going to become the defendant. Kasha makes sense to anybody? that the Gemara wants the same way that you can't say that money works both ways. So a star also shouldn't work both ways. How could it be that the same star that divorces her will be used to marry her? So the Gemara says that's not a kasha. It's not the same kind of star. This star says the words of divorce. This star, yeah, this says you're married to me. All right, this one says the words are different. That's Moore's answer. Immediately the words of this kind of document is one thing, and the words of this document is another thing. It isn't the same words. Just because you call it a document, people will say a document brought in, a document brought out. That's not no one's asking any kashas because this is a document of divorce and this is a document of marriage. It's two different documents. But money, the Gemara thinks that the money is all the same. Right. And the Gemara asks, it isn't the same money that's bringing in and breaking out. I'm saying the Gemara simply, Rashi maybe says a little bit deeper, but I'm saying the words of the Gemara seem to say that people won't ask any kasha. It isn't the same money. It isn't the same piece of silver that's divorcing and marrying. There was one time he gave her money that was to marry her, and there's different money that's going to divorce her. Why is it so terrible? Why do people see that as a contradiction, that money brought her in and money takes her out? The Gemara says, no, tiva mia chadu. The minting, the coin is, all coins are the same. Means the Gemara doesn't see that a different piece of metal makes it to be a different coin. People will have the kasha. It isn't the point of people having the kasha. We're talking about the Raisa now. It's not talking about Rabbanan and Marasayin. It means it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the same vehicle that brings her in takes her out. A star is not the same vehicle, because the writing makes it to be a different vehicle. This is a bill of divorce. This is a bill of marriage. It's a two different kind of stars. But all money is the same. Well, even if it's going to be a different coin, it doesn't make a difference because all money is considered the same. Tiva, the word tiva is like matbeya, the fact that it's minted or that it's coined. So we don't care that it's a different piece of silver. It's a coin. So people, that's not a question of people. The Gemara says yomru, but the point is that it can't be. It can't be that the same vehicle which is used to marry is going to be used to divorce. That was all this was a bias statement. Rashi says like you. Rashi said, he said like Rashi here on the top, Rashi on the third line, a little bit smaller to be able to see the Rashi. Fourth line. When he gives the money, he explains what he's giving it for. So the Gemara is asking that the monies are different, and the Gemara answers, "Chadu is all the same." It doesn't say on the coin. He says it only verbally, but it's not in the coin. So by the star, people don't have a kasha. It's two different kind of stars. By the money, there's no difference. Money is money, and the fact that he's going to say it, that doesn't make a difference. So I think that the reason I want to say Rashi because I don't see it in the words of the Gemara too much. But the idea, you did get the idea, and that's what Rashi says. So we finished Rabbi's teres. The kasha was, if you learn a hekesh between marriage and divorce, and that's how you learned out that it's possible to marry with a contract, so then you should learn out that it's possible to divorce with money. And the Gemara's answer, Rashi says it can't be. It can't be that the same money which is going to bring in is going to take out. Shtar is not a kasha because shtar is two different kind of documents. But money is all the same. You don't see a difference in the monies. That was a bias teretz. Rava Amar. Rava says another teretz to the kasha. The kasha is, again, just to back up to the kasha, that if there's a drasha that says that you compare marriage to divorce, and that's how you know there's such a thing as marrying with a contract, a marriage contract, so maybe you should also learn out that there's a way to divorce with money. The same way you marry with money, maybe there's a way to divorce with money. As Taisha says, that he'll give her money and say you are hereby released. Rava Amar can't be. That's not a kasha. Amar Krov, because of law. The pasuk when it talks about a divorce, it says that if she doesn't want to, because as to say, that she doesn't find favor in his eyes, so he should write her a divorce document. That's how the pasuk says it. Because of law, it only gives one way to divorce. This pasuk teaches us that the only way to get divorced is only with a document, only with writing, no other way. So the kasha is a nice kasha. He doesn't know the bias teretz, that the same vehicle can be for both. Theoretically, it would be possible to divorce with money, but the fact that the pasuk says the way to divorce is with writing, the pasuk is saying it's the only way to divorce. But the Gemara is not so convinced. You can make the emphasis on it says he should write her a bill of divorce. You don't have to stress that's the way to divorce. Maybe he should write her a bill of divorce. It means that you can say he should write her a bill of divorce means that the only way to do it is with writing. Or you could stress he should write her a bill of divorce, the stressing that that's the way to divorce with writing. But maybe kiddushin is not with writing. It means we had a link that marriage and divorce are linked together. But that was, now a pasuk is coming to say don't compare it in all ways. One way yes, one way not. And we said the real way, what the Gemara is going to say is that you could marry with a contract, but you can't divorce with money. But the Gemara is saying maybe that's another way. Maybe the pasuk is saying the way the divorce is with a contract, but the way to marry is not with a contract. Maybe that's what the pasuk is coming to emphasize, that the way to divorce is with writing, but maybe there's no kiddushin with writing. If that will be true, we'll come out mamash the opposite. We'll say that you cannot marry with a contract and you could divorce with money. Maybe the from this pasuk that the way to divorce is with money, but the way to get married is not with. I'm sorry, the way to divorce is with writing, but the way to get married is not with writing. Maybe that's what we should darshan. But the Gemara says no. We said there's a link. We said there is a connecting factor, but that's the question. The Gemara didn't explain. There's a connecting factor, and there's a drasha that says that something is not going to be connected. There's only a one-way street. It says Makish is one-way street, but we don't know which way it's going. Is it coming to say that kiddushin is like gerushin, that there is a document, but don't learn it the other way because gerushin is only with writing? Or do you say maybe that learn out gerushin from kiddushin, that there is a way to divorce with money, but don't learn out that you could marry with a contract because the pasuk because the ksiva the ksiva miskareshes, but not the kiddushin. Omar Rosh, who tells you how to darshan? You can darshan both ways just as well. The Gemara answers, "Mistarba koi begerushin, mamait gerushin, koi begerushin, mamait kiddushin." That's the niggin. The niggin over here goes that it's more mistarba to do this way, but the other way makes sense. The other way doesn't make sense. It means when the pasuk is coming to say divorce with writing, so the subject matter is the divorce and the parish of divorce over there. So it's more mistarba that the pasuk is coming to say that the only way to divorce is with writing. Don't divorce in other ways. Don't divorce with money. But it's not coming to tell you Hilchas Kedushin over here and to say that the divorce with money, but Kedushin could be another way. That's not the gist of the pasuk. So Rava almost finished. Rava said that the way we know that you cannot divorce with money is because the pasuk is mashma because of law. That the only way to divorce is only with writing. You have to have a document in order. So he's happy that Kedushin is with a document and divorce is not with money. The Gemara is a side problem that this pasuk is used up already. Because of law, Sefer Krisos is Rashi. The Gemara doesn't bring it down too much here. Rashi doesn't tell us, but we learned it already. The Rosi holds that a get has to be written not on food and not on a living being. The Rosi completely talks about in another Masechtas that you can't have a get on food and a living being, an animal or something like that. And over there, the drasha comes because it says Sefer, because Allah Sefer Krisos. If it says Sefer would have meant parchment, and because Allah tells you not only parchment, other things also. But the reason why it says Sefer is to limit it, not anything, that it's limited like parchment, which is not a food, then it's not a living thing. So Yossi has to have the word because of law in order to learn out that you can write on things besides parchment. So the word because of law is already darshan. It means Rav is learning out from because of law that only with writing and not with money. You can't divorce with money. But the pasuk is used up already. We used it for Russia to say that you could use a get on things, but you can write a get on things besides parchment. Well, the Gemara doesn't bother telling us what that drasha is. It doesn't make a difference to the Gemara. The Gemara is saying Rabbi Yosef used up this pasuk already. I just mentioned it because we had it. But if Rabbi Yosef already uses up this pasuk for a different drasha, how is Rava going to explain the point of Rabbi Yosef? The kasha was that you should learn out from kiddushin that it's possible to divorce with money, and Rava had a pasuk because of law, but that pasuk is used up already. Amakra sefer krisos, sefer korsa and avacha korsa. A similar drasha, not from the word because of law, but the word and sefer tells you that it should be dafka parchment, and because of law tells you even more than parchment as long as it's not a food and a living thing. But the fact that it says sefer krisos, sefer korsa and avacha korsa, the fact that it put the word sefer next to krisos says that the only way to korres, the only way to sever, the only way to sever the marriage is only with a sefer, only with a document, not with anything else. That's how you learn out that there's no such thing as gerushe kesef, no such thing as a divorce with money. Rabbanan who argue basically and hold that you don't need the word because how do they go? They hold that you're allowed to write on anything. You're allowed to write again on anything. So because of law, they have a rubbish rush over here. And no, you're right. Because of law, they use over here that you can't get divorced with money. And the question is, you don't need the word creases now. Rabban high creases my They don't have a basic leaders drasha, so they have an extra word now. The answer is, the reason why what Rabban do with the word creases is to teach you that the divorce has to be an absolute divorce, and there shouldn't be any strings attached. Not literally, but figuratively. There shouldn't be any kind of bond that connects her to him, unlimited. Kiratani, we had this a couple of times already. If he makes a condition on the get, it can make a conditional get, but it has to be that eventually it comes to an end and she's absolutely divorced. But she can't be forever bonded to him because of the divorce. And the example given, he gave it tonight that I'm giving you the get on the condition that you don't drink wine, or on the condition that you don't go to your father's house. Fine. But if he said it la'olam, if he said it forever, you never could drink wine. If you ever drink wine in your whole lifetime, then the get was never a get. Or if you ever go to your father's house, the get is not a get. So ain't a krisis, it's not a get, even if she never goes, because it was a kind of a get that didn't sever them because she was still connected to him. But if he made it a limited tonight, call shloshim yom, raise a krisis. If he made this tonight for a limited time, 30 days, even if it'll be a year, 2 years, doesn't make a difference as long as it's limited. And eventually she'll be able to be divorced without, and be able to go to her father's house and drink wine. That's krisis. So that you have to learn out in the pasuk of Sefer Krisis that it has to be a complete separation. But very glili. So now we're back to that. So if he used the pasuk of krisis already, like I said before, he uses the word Sefer Krisis, Sefer Kos the end of Achakos, so they can't divorce with money. So how does he know this new drasha that it has to be a complete separation? Nafka lei. I'm sorry. Very glili. That's a question mark. The answer is because krisis kan nafka lei. He learns it out from the long term. He could have said the word Sefer Kores, and he would have been happy with that. Sefer Kores means Dafka Sefer Kores and Lavacha Korsa. But it said another 2 letters, Sefer Krisos, and he used this at a longer term in order to tell you 2 drushes. You're allowed to learn out 2 drushes from there. He also agrees to that has to be a complete separation. It can't be a condition which is going to be binding her forever. Rabbanan, what do you do with the extra drush of the long word Krisos? It could have just said Kores. Rabbanan, the answer is because Krisos like mashmalu. They don't see any mashmois in the word. That's the way you say it. That's the normal way of talking. You don't say Sefer Kores, you say Sefer Krisos. There's no reason to darshan it. And the sugya, just to sum it up, they talked about how do you know kiddush shtar. Where does it say such a thing? The answer is v'yatzav. That since the pasuk compares divorce to marriage, the same way we know that divorce could be with a contract, like it says openly. So too, the marriage also is with a contract. Then there was a kasha we had to answer, a side kasha. If so, learn out that there's givushe kesef. The Gemara said two terutzim. Abai said because it can't be the same thing, the same vehicle to take in and take out. And Rava said the answer is because it says openly a pasuk either in a kasav law or sefer krisis to learn out that only a get is the only document is the only way to divorce, only with a document. And we're happy. Yesterday and today we learned out there's a source for kedusha kesef, there's a source for kedusha bia, and today there's a source for kedusha shtar. So we know all of them. Just to answer it over. How do you know kedusha kesef? Yikach yeshisha, yikach tichaki chavis te'efron. How do you know bia? Because azu ba'ala. How do you know shtar? Yatzav ha'isa. All of that. One or two psukim in Parshas Kiseitze. New sugya. We make 2 dots over here. Chada b'chada lo asya. You just finished explaining yesterday and today. How come you can't learn out one from one? That means if only would have said kesef, the Gemara's rushes that it said the possibilities that you can learn out one from the other. That we did already. That if it only would say kesef, you wouldn't know shtar, you wouldn't know bia. If only would say shtar, you wouldn't know kesef, you wouldn't know bia. If only would say bia, you wouldn't know kesef, you wouldn't know shtar. That's why you need a pasuk for each one. But not a kash is you don't need a pasuk for each one. If you would have said 2, the Gemara thinks maybe you could have learned out with a tzara shava, with a machaneh meshutaf, the common denominator of 2 would have been enough. And that's the Gemara's kasha now. Learn out 1 from 2, which means maybe it would have been enough to say 2 out of the 3, and the third one we could have learned out on our own. If this way is a way of marrying, and this is a way of marrying, so we should be able to derive by ourselves that the third way is also a way of marrying, and therefore you shouldn't have to have all 3 psukim. The Gemara is going to go through all 3 possibilities. We have kesef, shtar, and bia, and each time the Gemara is going to ask that maybe 2 out of the 3 would have been enough. And the Gemara is going to explain why it wouldn't have been enough. It's not going to take too long, a couple of lines. And the Gemara is going to say that's why you have to say explicitly all 3 of them. Just again that line. 1 from 1 cannot be learned out, but learn out 1 from 2. So the Gemara says, hey Tasi, which one would you like to learn out? I'll give you all the possibilities. So the first question would be lo lifte bechmona b'shtar v'teisi mahanach. Let the pasuk leave out shtar. Now leave out the drush of Yosef. I said just have kesef and bia, and let's be able to divide on our own with a machaneh meshutaf, with a common denominator that shtar also is good, because each one, if you say the drush, you'd say that if shtar is good, so then maybe I'm sorry, if we're starting with the two, we're starting with kesef and bia. I just wrote down for myself just to be able to, as they say, how cut. If it would, it wouldn't say shtar, and you'd learn that from kesef and bia. So if it only would have said kesef, you'd say that kesef has something unique about it. What's unique about kesef? That it's able to be podem ma'aser sheni. It has other strong things about it. So that's not a right to shtar. Shtar doesn't do that. So bia tochiyah. We know kesef and bia are the givens. Bia also is not a way to be podem ma'aser sheni. So, and that does work. Bia is also a given. Bia maybe not, because bia is by owned by Yivam, but that's what makes it strong. And kesef and shtar is not. But kesef is also not. So with the combination of kesef and bia, you should be able to learn shtar. That's the Mor's kasha. But the Mor says no. But if you find the common denominator, both of them have a chumrah over the third one, then you're not able to learn it out. And that's the Mor's answer. That even if we say there's a way to marry with kesef and with bia, you wouldn't be able to derive from there that shtar is also a way to marry, because both of them have a common denominator that there's a lot of enjoyment. It means, but if you give the woman money, so she has, in fact, she got the money, and if there's a bia, she got benefit from the bia, but that wouldn't be a right to shtar. By getting a piece of paper, she didn't get that. That's not beneficial to her. Of course, the marriage is beneficial, but the thing that the vehicle of marriage is not beneficial, so it wouldn't be a right. That's the Mor's answer, that it wouldn't be enough to say kesef and bia to learn shtar, because both kesef and bia have anas and meruba. Next try. So let's try the next two. Let's say leave out bia. Lo lichter rachmana bia. The teisi manach. Let it just say the psukim for kesef and shtar, and don't say bia, and let us learn it out by ourselves. How would you learn it out? The Gemara doesn't say. The Gemara have to figure out yourself. Let us just say kesef and shtar, and don't say bia, and let us figure out by ourselves. That if kesef works, so bia works. We'll say no. Maybe kesef is because it's for the ma'aser sheni. Shtar will show that it's not true. Maybe shtar is not because it's able to make the divorce also. Shtar is a big code that is able to divorce, and kesef is not, and bia is not. But kesef is also not. If you have kesef and shtar, be able to make a common denominator, bia also works. That the Gemara says, that we find that kesef and shtar are used as kinyanim in other places also, like Rashi points out, to buy a field, to buy an eved. So we see in other places that kesef and shtar are strong ways of making a kinyan. So it wouldn't be right to bia that you don't find that it's a way of being kona too much. So therefore you have to have a pasuk for bia also. So that takes care of that second question. And the last question will be, don't say kesef. Don't nifrach one of a kesef. First wide line. Why is it not enough to learn from kesef, shtar, and bia? Again, we'll do shtar is a way of marrying. Maybe that's only because it's able to be motzi, it's able to be a get, and kesef cannot. So bia tochiach, it's also not a way to divorce. That is a bia. Maybe only bia is because Yivama. So shtar tochiach. So why can't you learn at kesef? And the Gemara says in the first wide line, there's a chumrah. You see something strange, some severity about shtar and bia, common denominator, that both of them have some aspect of doing it against their will. That means that by bia you find that Yibam was kona even bal kocha. If he's mayabim her bal kocha, also the bia was kona to be a yibama, and also the shtar actually bal kocha by a get, that he can give a get even against her, even if she doesn't want to get, the husband can give her a get. According to the Din Torah, nowadays it's different, but the halach is really that the husband could divorce her against her will. But what? Shtar and bia. You're right. That's the answer. Shtar means that you have a shtar bal kocha by get, and you have a bia bal kocha by yibum, and therefore you wouldn't be able to learn out kesef, because kesef is never bal kocha. Whatever kesef accomplishes is never against the will of the one it's being done to. But that's the answer to the kasha. That's why you have to have all three of them. No two out of the three would have been enough. You wouldn't be able to learn out the third one. The kasha on the last point. There is something that money does bal korcha. What is that? Right, that's the Jewish maidservant. So Rashi says that a father could sell her against her will. So the kesef that the adon Master, the buyer, gives to the father, acquires the Amar Bria, even against her will. So what are you saying that only Shtar and Bia, what? The father can sell his daughter even against her will. And it means that the money that he's going to accept is going to make it to be an Amar Bria, even though she didn't agree. So just like you say, the Shtar and Bia have a strength that it could be again, it can be used against her will. So too Kesef also has that strength. The Gemara says, no, that's not a taina. Not in marriage issues. Means the Vayivam, it's a marriage issue that he marries her with Bia, Balkocha, and get it. He severs the marriage, Balkocha. That's something to do with marriage. Omar Bia, that she's bought as a maidservant, that's nothing to do with marriage. So that's not a kasha. It's not a proof. It's not a strength as far as we're talking about. It has to be that's able to accomplish something in marriage against her will. So that's the end of the sugya. The kasha was that you have three kinds of ways of marrying. Kesef, Shtar, and Bia. The pasuk there's a drasha for each one of them. And the question was 2 out of 3 would have been enough. And the answer is no, it wouldn't have been enough. You wouldn't be able to learn out the third from the other two. That's why it was necessary for the Torah to say explicitly all three. Kesef, Shtar, and Bia. Right. Relation between husband and wife. Not after, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Isha. Isha means womanhood. Gemara. So we finished the sugya of Kesef Shtar and Bia. The question that was a Mishnah, each and Nicholas the Shalosh Drachim, and the question was how it's the source, and we have the source for everything. New sugya. Is there a fourth way? So it came up a couple of pages aga, but now we're in the sugya now by itself. Ravuna. We promised at the time that when we get here we'll have more clarity. Hopefully we'll have more clarity. Ravuna. Chuppah kona mikal v'chomer. There's a fourth way to marry. Chuppah is a way to marry. So we call the word chuppah the canopy that we have by chasanas. It's not dafka. It means the coming into the domain of the husband, which is called nisuin. What? So they say it doesn't have to. It's Rishus Ram. So they say that it's a place which is miyuchat for him, which is designated for him, like he's standing over there, and now she comes into his domain. I think that there's a minute. What? Yeah, but it's called his. They would just think that it's some right. They wouldn't see it. They wouldn't see it. They wouldn't see it. So I think that's the word. That's really what's happening. And some places have a custom that the cousin buys the place. He's calling from the hall. It doesn't have to be private. Don't say private. Not about yichud. We're talking about coming into his domain. And really, in the old days, they didn't have that. They had in the house. They had the bride came with the procession. The bridal procession came from the father's house to the husband's house. That was the chasana. There wasn't a whole hall. They went straight to the husband's house, and he was waiting there with his friends and family. And that was the chasana when she came into the house. That's called nisuin. They had kiddushin a year ago. That was by the father of the bride's house. And then a year later, when she came to his house, that's called the nisuin. Now, then for some reason they did it. They used to do it in the Chatzar Beis HaKnesses. I think that says in the hosting. They used to do it in the Chatzar, and they made the chuppah just as a place that this is designated to be his domain, not his. Doesn't have to be belong to him, but she's coming into the place where he is, and they made the chuppah as a place of marking off the place. They could have made it just to come into the yard. He's in the yard, and it has a fence around it. She comes into the yard where he is. It also would have been called. She's coming into his domain. I don't think it has to belong to him. The minhag is just to make it belong to him. That's called chuppah. So as we know, chuppah is called nisuin. There's 2 stages of marriage. One is kiddushin, one is nisuin. The chuppah is the way you accomplish nisuin. The kiddushin is accomplished by kesef, shtar, and bia, and then nisuin is accomplished by chuppah. Now, Gemara says a huge chiddush that Rav Huna says chuppah could accomplish kiddushin also. That if he didn't give her kesef, shtar, bia, he just brings her into his domain. That makes her kiddushin. That makes her married to him for kiddushin. Does it make nisuin also? I don't know. I also don't know by Bia that it really does work to make kiddushin. Does that make her an Asu also already? I don't know. But it does accomplish it. She's married to him, and the Bia Zu, and then she becomes an Eshesish, and then she's called an Amar at least. Maybe she's called an Asu already. I don't know. But the Gemara now is talking about the chuppah. He didn't do Kesef Shtar Bia. He just did chuppah. Does that make her to be married to him? The Huna says yes. A huge chiddush. He didn't give her Kesef. Again, didn't give her Shtar. Didn't give her Bia. He just said, the chuppah zu kedas Moshe Yisrael. She comes into his domain and she's married. Amrafuna. Chuppah kona mikal v'chomer. I can learn from a kol v'chomer that chuppah also acquires her for kiddushin. Ma kesef she'eno machal b'truma. Kona, kama, chuppah shemachel es b'truma eno din shetikna. The Gemara could have said it simpler, and the Gemara is going to say it simpler soon. But the Gemara first just talks about Truma. Truma is one of the things that's accomplished by Nisuin. That Rusa, she married a Kohen. Bas Yisrael married a Kohen. Is she allowed to eat Truma? So it says here that by the Arusa stage, just after she became an Arusa, Kiddushin, so she's not allowed to eat Truma. Even though she's really Ashes Kohen, Miknas Kaspo, can't eat Truma yet. When she's Arusa to a Kohen. Only when could she start eating Truma? When she's in a sewer. And she goes into her husband's domain, then she can eat Truma. So Kesef ain't a machal b'Truma. The Kiddushin alone wouldn't have allowed her to eat Truma. Kone, it does make her to be Arusa. But Chuppah shemacheles b'Truma, and udin shetikna, so Chuppah, which does accomplish that she can eat Truma, surely it has to do whatever Kesef can do. You see Chuppah stronger than Kesef. The Gemara is a little strange because it could have, when I talk about Truma, talk about anything the Sunnah is relative to, related, anything Chuppah is not related to as much as whatever it has effect, whatever it affects. Like other things like Rashi is going to talk about Ma'aseh there, Yerusha, she becomes a Nesuah. The Gemara picked on one aspect of Nesuin, and the Gemara is going to right away and say you picked the wrong example. But that's what the Gemara means to say. They picked only one example. And the Gemara said, if Chuppah Nesuin accomplishes what Kesef cannot do, so whatever Kesef could do, surely Chuppah could do. If Kesef accomplishes Kiddushin, so Chuppah surely accomplishes Kiddushin. But the Gemara picked the example of eating Truma. But the Gemara jumps up and says, your example is not true. That really, she could eat Truma with the Raisa from her Erison. The Kesef ain't no machil. Once he does Kiddushin Kesef, can he not give her to eat Truma? Omer Ulat Torah, Rusa Bas Yisrael Chalas B'Truma. Ula says with the Raisa, a woman who's married to a Rusa to a Kohen, she's a Bas Yisrael, a Rusa to a Kohen, she could eat Truma. Shenamar, V'kon ki iknei nefesh kinyan kaspo. Where's the whole source that a wife could eat Truma? Because she's called Kinyan Kaspo. The fact that he makes Kiddushin, not Kinyan Kaspo doesn't mean that he owns her, but it means that there's a Kinyan, or Kinyan Isser, that he affected the fact that she's not allowed to marry anybody but Kesef. So she's called Kinyan Kaspo. When does that happen? By the Kiddushin. So really she's allowed to eat Truma from the time that she's in Arusa, even though she's still by her father's house. So it's only the Rabbanan that by Kinyan Kaspo, she's a Kinyan Kaspo because he did Kiddushin Kesef. So how come the Rabbanan she's not allowed to eat Truma? How come Chazal said that she should not eat Truma till she gets into his house? That maybe they're going to pour a cup of wine of Truma. She's in her father's house. She's allowed to eat Truma. But her whole family are Yisraelim. And she's going to be getting a package, a delivery from the chassan giving a present of wine or other kind of Truma food. And she's allowed to eat it. But then she's going to give it to her brothers and sisters. I got a bottle of wine. And they're not allowed to eat it. So we wanted to keep safe that she shouldn't be getting Truma in her father's house. But it's only Rabbanan. But the Raisa, the Erison did accomplish that she's allowed to eat Truma, not in the Suin. So your drasha doesn't make sense to make a couple homer that Chuppah accomplishes more than Kesef. It's not true. The Kesef accomplished that she could eat Truma. So the Gemara goes back to the simple pshat about the Suin in general, not after the Truma. Bottom line, Rav Huna's drasha was the following. Mak means the Kal V'chomer. You're right. It's a strange lashon. I didn't. It means Ella Dan Hachi. What do you say? It's not a pircha. It's more the drasha. The drasha is going to be. Why is it called a pircha? I don't know. Omak Kesef Sheina Gomer Kona. That's what we would have said. That Kesef doesn't accomplish the Nesuin. It doesn't consummate the marriage. Not in the word consummate doesn't mean after be. It means that it doesn't complete. It doesn't finish it off. That she should be a Nesuah. Rashi gives examples of Kamina about the earnings go to him, the Rusha goes to him. That okay. So Kesef doesn't accomplish that. She's not a Nesuah, but it could do Kiddushin. So whatever the Kesef could do, surely the Chuppah could do. Chuppah shegomer is din shetikna. The Chuppah that does make the Nesuah, surely it makes the Kiddushin. Fascinating. It finishes the marriage. It completes the marriage. Not finishing it off. Not that it stops it. It completes it. It completes the marriage. The second stage of marriage, Nesuah, right? We were saying Nesuah. If Chuppah could make Nesuah and Kesef could not, so whatever Kesef could do, surely Chuppah could do. So if Kesef makes Kiddushin, surely Chuppah. So a new Chiddush. Rav Huna says, Rav Huna holds that if he thus did Nesuah, she becomes married. She brings her into his domain. Does she become a Nesuah automatically also? Maybe, but that's not the point of the Gemara. The Gemara's point is that it accomplishes Kiddushin. The Gemara's a kasha. Mala Kesef, she came potent Bagdesha, so Maisi Sheni. You're saying whatever Kesef does, Chuppah could do. There are things that Kesef could do that Chuppah cannot do. That Kesef, you could redeem Maisi Sheni, Hektish. And Chuppah, of course, doesn't accomplish that. So how could you learn out that whatever Kesef does, Chuppah does? The Gemara says, Bia Tochiach. I'll show you that we know already Bia. We know Kesef Shtar and Bia. So Bia will show that there's a way of there's something which accomplishes kiddushin, which is not necessarily you could be po the hektish. So that's not a kasha. But Mala Bia Shekain Kona Bia Bia has some strength that he could accomplish to get married to Yavama, and Chuppah cannot. Kesef Yochiach. Kesef shows that even something which it cannot accomplish by Yavama also is good enough to be kiddushin. So you have Kesef, Shtar, and Bia, all three of them. If all three are given, which they are given already, so I have the right to learn out that there's also Chuppah also. The Chazir Adin, and the Kalvachoma goes back and forth. Lo Rizek Rizeh, Lo Rizek Rizeh. Each one has a Chumah, the other one doesn't have. Asad Hashavah Shabahan, Shekonin Ba'alma, the Konin Khan. But the common denominator is that there is such each one has a kinyan. There is such a kinyan of Kesef, Shtar, and Bia. So too, of Aniyavi Chuppah, Shekonin Ba'alma, the Konin Khan. So Kan means a kiddushin, that there's a way to make a kinyan by kiddushin. Kan means by kiddushin. That if you find that there's such a kinyan in other places, so there's a kinyan here also. So the fact that Kesef is such a kind of a kinyan, and there's a kinyan Kesef, there's a kinyan Shtar, there's a kinyan Bia, and it's a way of also making kiddushin. So Chuppah also, which you find is kona some places. What is that as far as Nisuin? So too, it's kona for kiddushin also. So if Huna Mamish made a new halacha, that Chuppah is a way of marrying kiddushin. Maybe there's a kasha still. I jumped. I guess that so far. Kesef and Bia. I thought we had all three already. I didn't read the words well. You have Kesef and Bia. Not a as a kasha. That's not enough. Kesef and Bia is not enough because both of them have a common denominator that they have an osam meruba. That is a great benefit. She gets money, or she had a relation, and Chuppah doesn't have that. But Shtar Yochiach. Shtar is a way of marrying that doesn't have any hana. She doesn't get any enough from the shtar. Still, it's a good marriage. So too by Chuppah. Mala shtar sheken motzi. The bas Yisrael, the word bas Yisrael I don't understand, but it means the shtar has something strong about it that it can make a divorce, and Chuppah cannot. Kesef ubiyah yochichu. Kesef ubiyah also cannot affect the divorce, but it's a way to marry. Chazir Adin, lo rizek rizeh, lo rizek rizeh. After Hashavah Shaben, shekon ba'alma v'konin kan. Apan yavi Chuppah, shekon ba'alma v'konin kan. The Gemara still goes further. What did the Gemara say with all these things? That if you have Kesef, Shtar, and Bia, you have enough information to be able to learn out that Chuppah also is Kona. The last thing was that maybe only things that give her benefit. So Gemara says, no, Shtar doesn't give her benefit. Or there's a kasha now. That maybe. We're not talking about what the marriage affects. Once she's a marriage, then there's a chiyuv. So we're talking about if the vehicle that made her married, if she get benefit from, did that benefit her? Kesef, the vehicle gives her benefit. She got a shava pruta, and Bia, she had a relation. She had Bia, that was a benefit for her. But the shtar doesn't give her any benefit. The shtar itself, it's not worth anything. And Chuppah also, that's coming into his domain. But the Gemara says, you see, you don't have to have that. But the Gemara now is a kasha of Huna. You do find something which is a common denominator between all three, Kesef, Shtar, and Bia, that Chuppah doesn't have. So then you won't be able to learn it out. Next kasha now. That you find that Kesef could be, well, it can't be against, Kesef could be against the will sometimes. Where's Kesef against the will? By Amar Bia by Yavama, and Shtar by a get. So you find all three of these have a very big strength. They can be done even against the will sometimes. And Chuppah can't be against the will. She doesn't go to the Suan against the will. The Rav Huna, Kesef Bia, the Isha Sloash, you don't find Kesef by Isha. The more say the same thing on the Amalek. That is true, Kesef is Balkocha, but to buy an Amar Bria, even if the Amar Bria doesn't agree, the father sells her, it's against her will. But it's not to do with marriage. We're talking about marriage issues. So by marriage issues, Kesef is not Balkocha. So you don't have a common denominator, all three against Chuppah. And that's the end of the Gemara. So far, this is all this was Rav Huna. The state is big chiddush that it's possible to make a kiddushin with Chuppah. Rav's going to argue. Amar Rava. First one on the line is Amar Rava state she was present. Even though it's Balkorcha, but it's not a marriage. It's not an issue. It's right. It's not marriage. It's not connected to an issue. It's just selling a servitude. Off. Right. You do find Balkorcha, but not as far as marriage issues. And Bia is by marriage issue and get is by marriage issue, but kesef is not. Kesef is not, and therefore chuppah also same way. So Rav Huna is happy. Rav Huna is saying things that he learned with a combination of kesef, shtar, and bia. He has enough information to learn out that chuppah also could be a way of kiddushin. And Rav now is going to argue. There are two kashas on. We call it kasha. The more calls it shu. And Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, right. And Rav is going to challenge that. Two kashas on that. Chada. First of all, the shalosh tanan. It says in the Mishnah, Ha'isha niknes b'shalosh drachim. 3 and not 4. The David Lotan doesn't say 4 ways. Before the Gemara Agav said that what's 3 why does it say a number? The Gemara said maybe the number's coming to say chupanat. Then the Gemara said Rav Huna holds chuppah, yes, it's coming to Chukei Chalipim. But here the Gemara is saying, but it doesn't. It says 3. You can't say 4. It says 3. That's the Gemara's kasha. How could he say chuppah is also a way of marriage? The Mishnah would have said 4. It says perish only 3. So kasha number 2. Plum chuppah gomer sela kiddushin. The whole kavachama doesn't make sense. The Baba says. You said that chuppah is very strong that accomplishes nisuin. It's true, accomplishes nisuin. Plum chuppah gomer sela kiddushin. Does chuppah make the nisuin only after you had kiddushin? Does that could it accomplish nisuin without the kiddushin? It's true. Chuppah is stage 2 of the marriage. It was a kiddushin first. So you're saying chuppah is very strong. Chuppah is very strong after it's kiddushin. It's like I call it the midget standing on top of the giant. It says kiddushin, and then you put the chuppah on top. Oh, she's married. So you want to say chuppah is very strong, and it can make the kiddushin also. You don't see that. If chuppah would accomplish the suin, that's irrelevant of the kiddushin. So you say, oh, it's very strong. It does something that kiddushin can't do, but kesef can't do. But what kind of chuppah makes nisuin? Only after she's in mukudeshes. If you learn out that a chuppah without kiddushin could do something, because you learned out that a chuppah with kiddushin can do something. Chuppah after kiddushin accomplishes nisuin. So you're saying that therefore a chuppah can accomplish kiddushin also? It's all one kasha. It's all the same. All the second kasha. That's what Rav is 2 kashas. One kasha was that it says 3, so don't tell me 4. Second kasha is that you showed that chuppah is very strong. It's very strong only after kiddushin. So you don't see that it's strong by itself. And you're going to say chuppah alone is going to accomplish kiddushin. Amalei Abaye, no, he wants to answer the 2 kashas. Abaye wants to defend Rav Huna. The kasha number 1, you said, how the comment gimel tanam without the low tanam. The first kasha has that it says 3, doesn't say 4. Not a kasha. Tana milta dechsiva behedya katani, milta lo ksiva behedya lo katani. The Tana only says the one that says beferish. Beferish doesn't mean a fresh pasuk, but it means it's a drasha mufaresha. Means we had a drasha for kesef and for bia and for shtar. Ki yikach isha icha kicha misleafron. And Ba'ala told you about bia. And Makish Abaye Litzia, we also have a Haisa that told you a drasha about kesef. But this drasha of Rav Huna is a Al-B'chomer, and that doesn't say beferish. So Tana is not listing that kind of a drasha. It doesn't bother me that it only says 3, even though they're really 4, because it's telling you the 3 that are beferish drashas, not the Kal-V'chomer drasha. That it says openly, right? Yeah, it's written openly. Openly doesn't mean that it's a Pashup Shad. Openly means that there's a drasha for it. So it's written. Ki Yikach is a drasha, is Ksiva B'hedya, and Ba'ala, and Havai Liyitzia. But it doesn't say in the Mishnah things that don't say openly. So not terrible. One won't fall down from this, even though it says there are 3, they're really 4. Kasha number 2, with the Ka'amit Klum Chuppah Gomer Sel Al Dei Kiddushin. The other kasha was that Chuppah is only after Kiddushin. So Rav Huna also understands that. Rav Huna meant to say like this. Oma Kesef Sheina Gomer Acha Kesef Hone Kama Chuppah Shegomer Acha Kesef Ein Adin Shetikneh. You're right. You're right that Nisuin that makes Chuppah, makes Nisuin, is only after Kiddushin. You're right. But I can still show you that chuppah is stronger than kesef. Because what if you would have done kesef after kesef? You gave kesef for Kiddushin, and then you wanted to make her a Nesuah, you gave her money again. The first money was for Kiddushin, now I want to make you a Nesuah, so here's money for Nesuah. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. Somebody, he wanted to do Nesuah with money. After money, means he gave money for Kiddushin, which is already, she's already a Rusa. And now it came time for the chuppah. So he says, we're not home right now, I don't have my domain, so I want to make you a Nesuah. Here's money. Nesuah li with Abazi. So it doesn't work, no such thing. So a chuppah could do more than money could do. it's true. The chuppah that accomplishes is only after kiddushin, but money can't accomplish that even after money either. So I show you chuppah is stronger than money because chuppah after money does accomplish nisuin, and money after money does not accomplish nisuin. So I show you that the chuppah is stronger than kesef. Whatever kesef could do, nisuin could do. So Rafuna is still happy with his double format. Rafuna holds that chuppah is a way to marry. There are 4 ways to marry: kesef, shtar, bia, and chuppah. We're holding by the 2. What do we hold?
Yeah.
I didn't look into it. I see on the beginning of the sugya. I don't see any numbers over here. It sounds like, I guess, pass like Rava. Abaya defended, but usually going to pass like Rava. Where's the number over here? I'm a Rava, State Shubas Padova. I saw a number over there. Here it is, base. The base over here tells us to look in. No, yeah. My meaning? Allah base.
Meaning that not.
I don't have my Rambam over here. Okay. My Rambam's over there. Okay. If you want to, it's on the top shelf lying down. Have to get a new shelf over here. The green safer that's lying down. You don't have to stand there. Yes. Okay. Right there. Yeah, the top one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. Thank you. Pechazishus Perak Aleph Halacha Beis. I'll just read them since we're here already, the beginning of kiddushin, the beginning of the Rambam. So I'll read already Allah Aleph also. Kodamat Torah, Yadam Pogei Isha Bashuk, Rasahu, Vihi, Lisa, Machisa Lasov Beso, Bola, Benola Ben Asmo, Vitia Lo Isha. Before Matan Torah, if a man wanted to marry a woman, they would meet, and both of them agreed to marry. He would take her into his home, and they would have relations without any aid and nothing, and that makes her to be his wife. What? But it means for marriage. It means they're not just having relations. They're doing it for marriage. How do you marry? They decide to get married. She comes into his home and they have relations and they're married. But after the Torah was given, Am Yisrael was commanded if they want to marry, so before that he should first, in front of Adam, make an acquisition. These are different pasuk. The Kilchanelu mitzvah sasei shel Torah. It's mitzvah to say to do this act of kiddushin. Ubeachad mishlosha devarim elu ha'isha niknes. Bekesef or b'shtar or b'biyah. B'biyah, that's base, and that's the whole base. That's all. He doesn't say 4. He just says 3. The isha sheniknes beachad. The chuppah is not before Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, they took her into his house and they had relations. Their point is that they lived together, and as a husband and wife, that's considered marriage. Oh, it would look like before Matan Torah. No. He said we don't hold of it. Like, it's not said the reason why we don't hold of it is because of Rabbi's conscious problem. That it's not true. But it's what's the you're pointing out the Gemara does say, what was the Gemara's conscious? Abai answered the conscious. Rabbi is probably not happy with Abai's answer. The Gemara doesn't go further. The Gemara finishes, but probably we don't pass like Abai's far. And Rabbi said that chuppah alone is not stronger than kesef. But you're right. The Gemara doesn't continue. We were talking today. The subject was that the chuppah, besides accomplishing the sunnah, maybe it accomplishes kiddushin, and that's what Puna holds. And we don't pass like that. Yes, I read to Kadeshasli, Bechupazu, and the halach is that doesn't work. She's not with Kadeshas. Only after Kedushin that's going to accomplish the Zuin. But it's not a way to make the Kedushin. And now easy Gemara. The rest of the Gemara now is I think much easier. No one talked about Yichud. No one talked about Yichud. We didn't say the word Yichud. Right. Into my domain. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I don't know about a lot of people, but a lot of people. Who says yichud? I didn't say the word yichud. If one, you don't want the issue yichud. He's it doesn't say if you have to have, so there's no yichud. It doesn't say there's yichud. It says that she comes into, so it says, here's the threshold. You're into my threshold, and you are hereby not engaged. You're hereby you're going to be ish. You're going to be married to me. You still go to. I'll take you home to your father's house again and stay there for a year, and then you come back to get soon maybe. But the issue of coming into his domain is a way to make her an ish, and that we don't pass on. Right. There's just a decision that no Erisin, just come and be married. Right. That's how the Rambam explains it. Look more. You come to explain why it's not good. It's not good because the Torah didn't. The Allah is going to be because the Torah didn't recognize such a kind of a way of marriage. Not you want to know why the Torah didn't give it? Not because of Xer. That's not the way it works. Why did the Torah say kesef? We don't pass like Gavuna. That's the way to say it. We don't pass like Gavuna. Unless we say wrong. We don't pass like Gavuna. Every time you have machlokas, if you there mayor, someone was wrong. The way to say it is, you don't pass like him. Maybe if Sanhedrin is gonna come and say we do pass like him, so we'll change that. Okay, so new Gemara. We finished. We finished Kesef, Shtar, and Bia. Pasuk for each one, and Chuppah going to Ravuna. You don't pass like that. Tana Rabbanan. Ketzad Kesef. How is a man mekadosh a woman with money? Nasan Kesef or Shova Kesef. He gives her money or valuable, which we do nowadays. And then he gives her a ring. And he tells her, that's the way to marry. You are hereby married to me. Or another term you can use, which nowadays we're making a lot of confusion because the word Eresin today means engagement in the Hebrew language, but it's a mistake. Meresas really means also kiddushin. So either term would be a way to marry. Or into, you are hereby my wife. Into is Aramaic for a wife in Aramaic. That's also a way of marriage. That's also a term. If a chassan wants to be a little bit lambish, under the chuppah, he's going to say, Harei at li leisha, and everyone's going to scream, and he's going to have to do it again, it's going to be done. But really, it's a way to marry also. Harei at mukadeshasli, or harei at muresasli, or harei at li leisha. Harei is a mukadeshas. But the other ways that they might do it, then it doesn't work. If she gave him the money, and she said, I am hereby married to you, into these ways is not good. If she gave him money, she gave him a ring, and she said, I am hereby your wife, surely if she says, you are married to me, surely it doesn't work. But even if she says, I am hereby married to you, also doesn't work. It has to be that he is the one who gives it to her. Okay, we didn't get there. So far, this is it. Masafar Papa. So that's the end of the Brisa, and it says what's good and what's not good. What is good if he gives her the money and says the what is not good if she gives him the we're not going to continue each other terms also. But if she gave him the money and said, I am hereby married to you, it doesn't work. And Papa has a kasha on the diak in between. Masafar Papa, time of it means just say it outside, they won't see it inside. It says 2 points about who gave the money and who spoke. It says he gives the money and says, you are hereby married to me. That's good. And it says the opposite extreme, that she gives him the money and says, I am hereby married to you. That's not good. But it skipped a step in between. What if he gave right? It wasn't right. I think most going to say only one of the two that like Yaakov said. Masafar Papa. Time of the Nasanu Ba'amahu. First, the Brisa says that it's good if he gave and he spoke. That's what's good. You keep him the die. Nasanu Ba'amrahi. But what if he would have given the money, but she said, I am hereby married to you? Is that good? And because it's mashma, you have to have two good things. You have to have he spoke, and he gave her the money. Let's talk to the Muslim. So in the Rishis mashma, it's not good enough. He has to do both things. He has to give and he has to talk. But the Sefer just says that it's not good if it's too big, too down. That it's she gave and she spoke. Ema Sefer. The Sefer is mashma that it's only no good if both things were going wrong. Low heavy kiddushin. It says in the Brisa that if she gave the money and she spoke, it's not good. But that's mashma only because both things were on her side. She did both things. Time of the Nasni of Amra, it's only no good because she gave and she spoke. But if it would have been that he gave and she spoke, it would mashma, it would be good. Anasan hu v'amrahi, have a kiddushin. So it's a contradiction. The Reish is mashma. We want to know this case where he gave the money and she said, I am hereby married to you with the money that you gave me. So the Reish is mashma that it's not good. Say it's mashma that it is good. It's clear so far? The Reish says that in order to be married, she has to give her the money and he has to say, Yom. And the Sefer says if she gave the money and said, I'm married to you, it's not good. But there's a case in between. Like Yaakov said, there are two cases. But the Gemara is taking one of the two cases. He gave the money and she said, I'm hereby married to you. So it's not good. Still in the deer, right. So the Gemara first says, Reisha Dafka, the Reisha is the real truth. That it has to be, he did both. He gave her the money and also he spoke. But how come the Sefer says the deer the other way or the extreme? Kedin Nasba, it says it for nothing. The word Kedin means for nothing. It said it for nothing. We could have left out the Sefer. The Reisha is the real truth and the Sefer. Kedin Nasba. Nasba means that it said it brought it for nothing. Kedin means Bechinam. Bechinam Eviyah. That it brought it for nothing. The Sefer is, we could erase. It has to have two conditions in order that it should be a good marriage. He has to give the money and he has to speak. But the one doesn't like that. First white line. Yes, and the Sefer erased Kidu. But the Gemara says, it means the Sefer is not good. The Tani Sefer Milsa the Sashval al the Reisha. The Sefer says something which contradicts the Reisha, means he just can't say it says for nothing. It's only says extreme case, which is not the way to say it. It says if she gave and she spoke, then it's not good. It's not good in many other cases also. So the real answer is like this. That the Brisa says this case is good because this is definitely good. Stick that in. Nasa commission that the Brisa means to say the second case is talking about the case where she gave them where he gave the money. Even though it says that she gave the money, it doesn't mean that. That's saying that the psak. If he didn't do like the Reisha, then it says bear as the Sefer. But stick in the middle case. There's three cases. So it says that he has to give and he has to speak. If he gave and she spoke, it says bear holding in the terrace. Where are you holding? Oh, Pshita, no, that means that's what's good. Yeah. The first case is good. But that's not a kasha Pshita. It means that's the case that's good. That's the case that's good. But but if he gave and she said, and it says bear as if she would have given also, and it's not good. That's the Brice's way of expressing that it's not good. Nasa Kamisha Nasnahi, it's as if she would have given and said, which is surely not good. That's the first terrace. It's sticking it into the Bryce, so it's still a little squeeze, but we have to say that because or else the Sefer doesn't make sense. So the Bryce right, it's coming to say that if she gave, he gave, but she said, it says bear as if she would have given, and that's surely not good. Like you're saying, that's also given that it's not good. Don't look at the Sefer by itself. Sefer, right. It's explaining the diak of the Reisha. Good. Third line, I can say another terrace also how to explain the Brisa. The first thing the Brisa says is if he gave and he spoke, that's good. The opposite case, the Sefer. That's what the Brisa says, that if she gave and she spoke, then it's not good. How about the middle case? The Brisa didn't talk about it. It means don't make any diak because the Brisa stuff doesn't know. The Brisa says, I'll tell you everything I know. But this is good and this is not good. You want to know the middle case? I also don't know. I'm not sure why it says Mirabanan. It's a suffix deraisa. I'm not sure what the word Mirabanan means. That the second teretz is that don't just mean Medaik the Reisha alone. There's a diak in the Reisha, there's a diak in the Sefer, and the Tanataka didn't know. That's why he didn't say. So what's the din if he gave and she said, it's a suffix of his kiddushin. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, I don't know. That's the second teretz. First teretz says we do know.
When they use the word
So means for both ways. Means you're not going to let her marry somebody else. Maybe she's married. You're not allowed to. She can't stay. She's not. You're not going to have the benefits of her being married. She's not definitely married to him. It's something if she's married. The Gemara didn't ask any questions. The Gemara, the Bryce is saying this is good, this is not good, and that left out. New Gemara, how much more? The kiddushin, not some kesef, v'shav kesef. I'm allowed to kedushes li, I read kedushes li, I read at. I said li, I take it back. I go back again. Shmuel said, by kiddushin, if he gave her money or valuables, and he told her, you are mukudeshes. It doesn't say the word li. You are married. You are mureses. You are a wife. It didn't say the word li. That's what it seems to say. I'm just saying it doesn't say the word li. Okay, the Gemara's going to talk about it. So the lach is a reason mukadeshes. Married, good marriage. But if he said Areni Ishech, Areni Balich, Areni Yerusich, I am hereby your husband. He's talking. He gave and he said, but he didn't say you're married to me. What? Yes. Why isn't that good? Why should that?
Maybe it's yeah.
Okay, very good. There was going to talk about that. And there's all those cases he said, Mukadeshet, Mureset, into all those is good. But if he said, I am hereby your husband, Ba'alich, Erusich, that's not a way to marry. That's not a good marriage. Ain't can base makers. It's nothing. Don't even worry about it. It's not a marriage at all. No, you are my wife is good. I am your husband. There's two different ways of saying husband. I am your man. But it means husband. So he can't, that's not a way to marry. He say, I am hereby your husband. He has to take her, he has to say, you are hereby my wife. So that's not good. It can't be gerushin. Also in the Lashonas of a divorce. Nasama gave her a get. Income besmechlish is nothing to worry about. It's not a kiddushin at all. It's not even a shmek of a kiddushin. It can't be gerushin. The same thing you talk about by divorce. Nasama gave her a get. Different terms of how to divorce. You are sent away. You are driven away. You are mutter to all men. All those are lashonos of divorce. All these cases are ways of divorcing her. But if he said, any ishech, any balich, any erusech, I'm not your husband. I'm not your husband. I'm not your arus. All these cases of saying he's taking himself away. Same way by marriage, you can't just say I'm a husband. I'm hereby your husband. It's not a way to marry. It's also by divorce. It's not a way of saying I'm not anymore your husband. It's not a way to do it. He has to say that you are sent. Any kind of besmechish is not a get at all. That was Shmuel's besmechish. There's no suffix. There's nothing to worry about. It's not at all a get. It's not even a suffix get. It's nothing. The first case is not a suffix kiddushin. It's not a suffix get. Okay, that was Shmuel's member. All that was Shmuel. And he said kiddushin. He has to say, you are my wife. You are a wife. The Gemara is going to talk about the li that I said by mistake, and that was Chaim David said, like Yaakov said, did he say the word li? In these cases, Shmuel didn't say li. The Gemara thinks so. Shmuel is coming to say that even if he didn't say li, it's good enough. Sometimes it happens by a chasna. The chasna leaves it out by mistake, and it makes a big tumble, and the chasna, and he gave the ring already. Okay. Maybe, but here the Gemara talks about if he didn't say li, is it a problem? Ama lei a papa labaya. Shmuel holds that it's enough to say Aved Mekudeshes. Remember the Sav Shmuel Yodayim Shem Mochichos. So this is the Gemara. This is the halachic term of this issue. Yodayim Shem Mochichos means something that looks like it, but it's not for sure. It gives that impression. It's Yodayim. Yodayim means it's like in a hand. It has a handle on it, but it's not Mochiach. It's not 100% obvious. Is it good enough? It's an unobvious yad, right? It's not an obvious yad. It's a yad which is not obvious. Not good enough. So you're saying Shmuel says it's good enough because he didn't say li. If it would be Ariat B'Kudeshes li, then everything is clear. That's Yadayim Mochichos. But if he says Ariat B'Kudeshes without saying li, it's Yadayim Shein Mochichos. And here Shmuel seems to say that it's good enough. Shmuel holds good enough. We know Shmuel holds that it's not good enough. But now we have a issue someplace else. Omer, hey. Someone says, I am hereby. I'm hereby what? Hey, I am hereby. I'm going to be. I raise a nazir. What does it mean I'm going to hereby? Hereby what? Hereby what? What are you hereby? It must mean a nazir. So, what else could a person have meant when he says I'm going to be? I'm hereby. Hereby what? So the one says, if there be nothing else than a nazir, okay. But there is something else. A person could accept upon himself a tinus. I am hereby accepting a tinus upon myself. So, there's a Mishnah that says, Amare is a Nazir. That's a Mishnah, it seems. Then there's a kasha on that maybe he meant tinus. Why is the halacha that he's a Nazir? Which part? No, Babina Bar. And we asked on that. That's really Dashna Gemara. That's Aramaic. We asked on that. Maybe he meant the tinus. And Shmuel answered the kasha. Rama Shmuel, who is Shahar Nazir over the Panav. He's right. The kasha is a good kasha. If someone that says, I'm hereby, is nothing. It's only that a Nazir is passing by, and he said, I am hereby. Then we understand that he means, I'm like him. So that means that only then is it good, because that's called Yudayim Mechichos. Time with the Nazir will have fun. Allah lo. That's Mashma Shmuel holds that only because there's a Nazir there, but if not, he holds agrees to the Kash that it wouldn't be, because Yudayim Shem Mechichos is not good. So contradiction in Shmuel. Maybe he says that we have Mukadeshes is good enough. Maybe he meant Mukadeshes is somebody else. You're right. That's what it means. The case, he left out the word over here. Shmuel meant, of course, you have to say li. I read Mukadeshes li. The way you read is my mistake. But the Gemara says, so what's Shmuel saying then? If he said Mukadeshes li, of course it's good. The answer is that the end of the second part of Shmuel to say when it's not good. It says, I'm your husband, I am hereby. That's not good. You have to say, you are hereby my wife. Mike Mashmalan. So Yachi Mike Mashmalan. If the Chiddush wasn't to say that you don't need li, so what is the Chiddush? The answer is top of the page. Ani Lishni Basroi Kamashmalan. The second part of Shmuel that says that it's not good. That if he says I'm here by your husband, that's not good. And why is it not good? Because the person says that he has to take her, not that he takes himself to her. He takes himself to her. Although he has to take, but not that he should make himself be taken. That he sends her away, not that he sends himself away. He says, I'm not your husband. It means he's doing it on himself. I'm going away. That's not a divorce. A divorce is he sends her away. So that's why Shmuel says that those lashonos are not good. So if he says, I'm here by your husband, it's not a marriage. If he says, I'm here by not your husband, it's not a divorce. No, Lishamasa means the second thing that Shmuel said. Shmuel said two terms. The first one was, if he starts Shmuel, it means, no, the parts that are not good. If he says, right, but the word Basroy means the second case. I mean, Shmuel's first case was when it is good, raising Mukadeshes, and then the second case is when it's not good. And again, by Gerushin also, that this case is good, this case is not good. The second cases of Shmuel, it happens to be the cases that are not good. But the word Mishnah Basroy means the second cases. Yashakoach.